A quiet but seismic shift may be unfolding in the Arctic. According to a proposed framework agreed in Davos, the United States is set to gain control over parts of Greenland, not through annexation, but by designating key areas as sovereign American base zones. A report by The Telegraph revealed that under the draft deal, U.S. military installations would be treated as American territory inside the Arctic, mirroring Britain's long-standing arrangement with Cyprus. The framework, reportedly agreed between U.S. President Donald Trump and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, is being presented as a strategic compromise, one designed to calm Danish fears while still delivering Trump a win. A diplomatic source told The Telegraph that the idea was to give Trump a deal. Trump himself has refused to spell out the details. In a series of interviews, he described the ownership question as a little complex, even as he praised the agreement as fantastic for the USA, claiming it delivers everything Washington wanted, especially on national and international security. Under the proposed terms, the United States would reportedly be able to conduct military operations, intelligence gathering, and training from designated zones without seeking approval from Denmark. The framework would also open the door to local development projects, including potential mining of rare earth minerals, a prize long coveted by Trump, again without Danish permits or planning permissions. In theory, the deal could allow the U.S. to expand its footprint into mineral-rich regions while making it easier to deploy assets tied to Trump's proposed Golden Dome missile defense system. Supporters call it a creative workaround. Critics see it as sovereignty by stealth. The model is familiar. Britain's agreement with Cyprus grants London sovereign control over two strategic military bases, while allowing civilians inside those areas rights similar to the rest of the country. Applied to Greenland, it would mean American territory embedded inside a Danish kingdom, without formally changing borders. Behind closed doors, diplomacy turned sharp. Sources told The Telegraph that NATO negotiators criticized French President Emmanuel Macron during talks, distancing themselves from his calls to use the EU's economic bazooka against the US, an apparent attempt to stay on Trump's good side. Macron has been among the fiercest opponents of Trump's Greenland ambitions.
French President Emmanuel Macron has warned the European Union could deploy one of its most powerful economic tools, known colloquially as the trade bazooka, if Donald Trump goes ahead with new tariffs on 8 EU countries over Greenland. So what is a trade bazooka? Well, it's a shorthand for the bloc's anti-coercion instrument. It includes a raft of measures for blocking or restricting trade and investment from countries found to be putting undue pressure on EU member nations or corporations. Those measures can include curtailing exports and imports of goods and services, barring countries or companies from EU public tenders, or limiting foreign direct investment. But in its most severe form, the bazooka could essentially close off access to the EU's customer market of 450 million people. All of these measures could mean billions of dollars of losses for US companies and the American economy. The value of trade between the US and the EU is around $2 trillion. So far, it's only France that has floated the use of the bazooka, and there is little backing so far from other EU nations to use it. If it is triggered, it could be 6 months before any of the measures take effect.
As political tensions simmered, NATO's military leadership moved to steady the ground. In Davos and later Brussels, NATO's top commander in Europe, General Alexis Grinkovich, briefed allies on Arctic threats. He played down any dramatic escalation from Russia or China, but warned of serious gaps in missile surveillance across the high north. NATO insists the focus remains collective security. Alliance officials say future talks will involve Denmark and Greenland directly, with one clear objective: ensuring Russia and China never gain an economic or military foothold on the island. But as sovereignty blurs and silence fills the gaps, one question echoes across the Arctic ice. Who really controls Greenland, and at what cost?
What I don't hear is Greenland is it still under the Kingdom of Denmark in this framework deal?
That issue did not come up anymore in my conversations tonight with the President. We very much focused on what do we need to do to make sure that that huge Arctic region, where change is taking place at the moment, where the Chinese and Russians are more and more active, how we can protect that. That was really the focus of our discussions.
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte sought to calm rising tensions after meeting U.S. President Donald Trump as controversy over Greenland took another sharp turn. Speaking to Fox News, Rutte made a shocking revelation that the question of Greenland's sovereignty did not even arise in his talks with Trump, despite weeks of threats and dramatic rhetoric from the White House. Instead, Rutte said Trump was now focused on security, particularly how NATO allies can protect the Arctic as Russian and Chinese activity in the region intensifies. According to Rutte, the conversation centered on defending the vast Arctic space, not on changing borders or ownership. His comments came just hours after Trump publicly ruled out using military force and abruptly stepped back from tariff threats aimed at pressuring Denmark.
Well, I think tonight was a good night, and we have a good agreement to really start working on these issues. And that means that we both agreed, when you look at NATO and what NATO collectively can do to make sure that the whole Arctic region is safe, including Greenland, to work on that part. There's a lot of work to be done to make sure that we do basically everything needed on land, sea and air. To make sure that we protect that important part of the world and of NATO territory. And now today, this agreement on working collectively on this deal getting done on the Arctic region, I think we can really commend him for taking that leadership role. He is the leader of the free world. He is the leader of the most powerful nation on earth, the biggest ally in NATO. He is doing exactly what I hope he would do when he was re-elected, knowing him from his first term in office.
Trump, however, painted a much bigger picture. After the meeting, he took to social media to announce what he called a framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland. Earlier, at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Trump had insisted he still wanted Greenland, including right, title, and ownership, even as he softened his tone and spoke of cooperation with allies. He later described the proposal as merely a concept of a deal, offering few concrete details.
It's a deal that people jumped at. Really fantastic for the USA. Gets everything we wanted, including especially real national security and international security.
How so? Can you give us some details, please?
Well, the deal is going to be put out pretty soon. We will see. It's right now a little bit in progress, but pretty far along. It gets us everything we needed to get.
That convinced you?
Say?
What did Mark Rutte said?
Well, he's a great leader. I think he's fantastic. He's Secretary General. Was representing the other side, which is really us too, because, you know, we're a very important member of NATO. I've done a lot for NATO. And it's really nice. I mean, it's a deal that everybody's very happy with.
Does it still include the United States having ownership of Greenland like you've said you wanted?
It's a long-term deal. It's the ultimate long-term deal. And I think it puts everybody in a really good position, especially as it pertains to security and minerals and everything else.
How long is it, Mr. President?
Spoken to other European leaders?
What?
Have you already spoken to other European leaders?
Yes, I have.
How long will the deal be, Mr. President?
Infinite.
There is
no time limit. It's forever.
And how will you ratify the deal?
It's signed forever.
But you haven't signed anything yet, right?
It's a deal that's forever.
Will there be an effect anyway, Mr. President?
No,
Will there be an
no
effect?
money. I mean, what happens is people are out there and they're working it right now. They're working the details of the deal, but it's what's called an infinite deal. It's forever.
You talked about
There's no time cap.
You talked about being concerned, Mr. President, about Russia trying to come and take over Greenland. If you're worried that Putin would do something like that, why invite him to join your board of peace?
Because we want everybody. We want all nations. We want all nations where people have control, people have power. That way we're never going to have a problem. This is the greatest board ever assembled. And everybody wants to be on it. But yeah, I have some controversial people on it, but these are people that get the job done. These are people that have tremendous influence. But all babies on the board, it wouldn't be very much. So he was invited. He's accepted. Many people have accepted. I don't know of anybody that hasn't accepted. But it's going to be great. I think the Board of Peace will be the most prestigious board ever, and it's going to get a lot of work done that the United Nations should have done. And we'll work with the United Nations, but the Board of Peace is going to be special. We're going to have peace. It started off with Gaza, the Middle East. We've got peace in the Middle East, tremendous peace in the Middle East. Nobody thought that was possible. And that happened by taking out the Iran nuclear threat. Without that, it could have never happened. But the board is going to be, I think, really fantastic. And I think it'll be the most prestigious board of any board ever in world history. Thank you very much.
That vagueness has fueled deep suspicion. When pressed on Fox News about whether Greenland would remain part of the Kingdom of Denmark under this framework, Rutte again stressed the issue was never discussed. NATO officials echoed that line, saying talks would focus only on collective Arctic security. But critics say the silence is alarming. Danish politicians questioned how any framework could exist without Greenland being involved at all. In Nuuk, residents reacted with disbelief, accusing Trump of misleading the public and reaffirming that Greenland is not for sale. With Trump's words shifting by the hour from ownership claims to vague deal frameworks, many now suspect this sudden de-escalation is tactical, not genuine. For now, Rutte's carefully chosen words may have cooled the moment, but uncertainty and mistrust still hang heavily over the Arctic.
President Donald Trump said he won't use force to take Greenland, but described this Arctic island as a strategic piece of ice that he must control. Greenlanders we've spoken to think Trump is dismissing them as a people, and they are afraid of his threats. They've been told by authorities here to have enough food and supplies at home for 5 days. Greenlanders are also confused about why Trump wants to own their island. Trump says he must control Greenland to boost American security, but Greenlanders point to the fact he has a defense agreement with Denmark under which he can increase the US's military presence here. Greenlanders also think he wants to control the island to take advantage of its untapped natural resources and minerals, but Greenland's business minister said the island is open for US investment. The most difficult reason for Europeans and Greenlanders to understand as to why Trump wants to own Greenland might be Greenlanders think that he wants to make America bigger on the map. This is extremely difficult for them to understand because it harks back to the great power politics that led to the Second World War.